So I've been pretty much shooting 90% of my B-roll of my Panasonic G85 with my 5D Mark II. And as I said in a previous video about my filmmaking goals, I'll link that up here in a little card if you want to watch that. I'm basically gonna be pressing really hard into my filmmaking career this year. And you know, based on those goals, my 5D Mark II, it's mostly a photography camera. It shot pretty nice 1080p. I actually did calculate the megabits per second of it, and it was like 28 or 30 or something like that. But anyways, the 5D Mark II is more built for photo, so it really wasn't aligning with some of my filmmaking goals. But before we get into it, I'm actually gonna be giving away some of my motion graphics templates. I'm gonna be giving away the little settings, little circle that pops up, and I'm also gonna be giving away my intro as well. No email address, no charge to you, just a direct link to a Drive download. So if you're interested in that, just stick around and I'll explain that a little more. So like I was saying, my 5D Mark II really wasn't aligning with my goals, and the 12-minute recording limit inevitably would have started causing problems in events and otherwise. And the 5D Mark II really wasn't built for video, it was built for photo. So I decided that I needed something a little more future-proof, if there is such a thing. So I ended up selling my 5D Mark II for a whopping $500. And I began weighing two different cameras that I was interested in buying. I knew I wanted a micro four thirds camera, and I've already really enjoyed my Panasonic G85, so I decided to go with another Panasonic camera, which left me with basically two options. First up was the Panasonic G7, and then the second option was a used Panasonic GH4. And obviously there are pros and cons to both of those. The G7's ISO performance is a little bit better than the GH4's. You can get a brand new Panasonic G7 with a stabilized lens for $500, whereas you can get a GH4 used for roughly around $500 without a lens. You know, the G7, it has a recording limit on it. It doesn't have a headphone jack, and from what I understand, the G7 can't output to HDMI while it's recording, which seems kind of dumb. And the GH4 is just significantly more customizable for video. It has the 3 different custom settings, which are catered toward video shooters. And another thing was the higher bitrate 60p. You can get up to 200 megabits per second in 60p, whereas both the G85 here and the G7 only shoot in 28 megabits per second. And if you subtract that, make it 40%, I mean, 40% of 28 megabits per second is not a very high bit rate. So when it comes to color grading, there can be some issues when you start pushing it farther. So with all that said, I did end up settling on one of these two cameras, and what I settled on was the Panasonic So back to the kind of question in the title of the video that wasn't clickbait, that was actually saying like, will this GH4 actually replace my G85? And I'm gonna say no, because the 4K on both of them are both 100 megabits per second. So if I'm shooting lower light stuff, I'll probably move over to the G85 in 4K. The crop is a little bit less on the G85 in 4K, so that's also helpful. But when it comes to 60p, what I'll probably do is get a battery grip for the GH4, put my cage around it, and then just have some nicer, higher bitrate 60p that I can grade a lot better. So I actually think this is a really good combination, but I guess the question now is, now what? You know, I should probably start putting my money where my mouth is and start getting clients and sharing about client work and that kind of thing. And that is coming. I have a few projects underway. I'll be sharing my progress with the tattoo shop, and I'll also be sharing some other projects that are coming down the pipeline. And before I give the instructions on the motion graphics, make sure to answer the question of the week down in the comments. Let me know what you think. And let's get into the motion graphics. So basically what you're gonna do is go down into the description, download that link, and then if you have Premiere or anything that works with that motion graphics file, you're gonna drag that motion graphics file into your motion graphics folder for your editing program. So just drop it into that folder and you should be able to access it. And if you have any issues with that, make sure to let me know and I'll try to get it squared away. And if you're wondering if there are any strings attached, no. Just go down there, download it. I don't need your email address. I don't need anything. I just wanted to share what I made. And if you're interested in seeing a tutorial on how I made it and how to tweak it and adjust it, let me know as well. So anyways, this was kind of a jumble of all this different stuff that's happening right now, but I hope it was helpful in some way to you. And let me know what you think in the comments, like I said, and we'll see you all next week.